The Ghost in the Argonne. Close your eyes. It's May 14, 1918. You are standing in the Argonne Forest, but you can't see the trees. The night is so thick it feels like wet velvet against your face. The air doesn't smell like victory. It smells like rotted leaves, damp wool, and the cold, metallic tang of iron. You're huddled in a shallow hole in the dirt, a tiny observation post at the edge of the world. Standing next to you is a man who shouldn't be a legend. He's 5'4". He weighs 130 pounds. Back in the States, he was a teenage baggage handler at an Albany train station. To the high brass generals, he is invisible. To the German Empire, he is a target. His name is Henry Johnson. But by the time the sun bleeds through the canopy tomorrow morning, the German army won't call him Henry. They will call him Der Schwarztod, the Black Death. Because in the next 60 minutes, this one man is going to face 24 elite German stormtroopers, and he is going to tear them apart. But before the soil turns red, you have to understand the weight of the shadow he was standing in. Henry was a Harlem Hellfighter, the 369th Infantry. These were men who marched with a jazz cadence that made New York's heart skip a beat, yet their own country was terrified of the rifles they carried. Because of the color of their skin, the US military wouldn't let them fight, so they gave them away. They loaned Henry's unit to the French like a piece of surplus equipment. Imagine the psychological whiplash. You're an American patriot, but you're wearing a French Adrian helmet. You're clutching a French level bolt-action rifle, a finicky, temperamental weapon you barely understand. You've been told to hold a line that your own commanders expect you to lose. Henry and his partner, Needham Roberts, were that line. They were the only thing standing between a German steel-toed boot and the Allied heart. 2:00 a.m. Snip, that's the sound of German wire cutters. Henry's head snaps up. Then the world ends. Boom, the darkness doesn't just break, it shatters into a million jagged pieces of shrapnel. Grenades rain into the dugout like lethal hail. Needham Roberts is hit instantly, his legs turn to ribbons. He's down, he's screaming. Henry is peppered with hot lead and jagged steel, but he doesn't hit the dirt. He raises that French rifle and starts barking back. One shot, two shots. He reaches to reload, his heart slamming against his ribs like a trapped bird, and in the sheer electric panic of the moment, he jams a French clip into the magazine. The metal screams. The bolt seizes. Suddenly, that rifle isn't a weapon anymore. It's just 10 pounds of useless wood. The Germans swarm. They're inside the wire. They're grabbing the bleeding Needham, dragging him back toward the German lines to be a trophy. Henry looks at his jammed rifle. He looks at his brother-in-arms. And in that moment, Henry Johnson stops being a soldier and becomes a force of nature. He swings that rifle like a primitive club until the wooden stock splinters into toothpicks over a German skull. When the wood breaks, he reaches into his belt. He draws it, a 9-inch curved bolo knife. I want you to try to visualize the physics of this. A 130-pound man shot in the foot, stabbed in the side, riddled with 21 distinct wounds, wadding into a pack of 24 armed elite soldiers. He isn't retreating. He is hunting. He disembowels the man dragging his friend. He stabs another through the crown of the head. He is moving with a ferocity so terrifying, so otherworldly, that the Germans stop thinking they're fighting a man. They think they've stumbled into a platoon of vengeful ghosts. They panic. These elite stormtroopers drop their Lugers and their rifles. They abandon their wounded. 24 men flee into the fog, screaming, because they cannot wrap their minds around the fact that Henry Johnson is still breathing. When the relief party finally stumbled into the clearing at dawn, they found Henry collapsed over the body of his friend, his hands still white-knuckled around that red-stained knife. He had fought until the world stopped spinning. The French saw the truth. They pinned the Croix de Guerre, their highest honor, to his chest. He was the first American to ever earn it. But when Henry sailed back into New York Harbor, the ticker tape eventually settled, and then came the silence. His records were misplaced. He was denied a disability pension. He died in 1929 at age 36, penniless, forgotten, and physically shattered by those 21 wounds. It took 97 years for his own country to look at the ink of history and say his name out loud. It wasn't until 2015 that Henry Johnson finally received the Medal of Honor. Henry Johnson didn't just survive a German raiding party. He survived a world that tried to erase his very existence. If you are enjoying these stories, be sure to like and subscribe so you can watch these videos as soon as they drop. Feel free to leave a comment also. I'm always looking for new topics to research, so your suggestions would help me greatly. And now, on to the next story. The Fortress of the Damned. Forget everything you know about life and death. We are going to the Eastern Front. August 6, 1915. Oswiec Fortress, Poland. For months, the German Imperial Army has slammed their heads against these stone walls. They've brought the biggest guns in Europe. They've fired millions of shells. But the Russians inside, they aren't moving. They've made a vow to the Tsar and to God. Oswiec does not fall. So the Germans, they wait for the wind to shift. They wait for it to blow toward the Russian lungs. And then they open the valves. 30 gas batteries, a cocktail of chlorine and bromine. Imagine a wall of emerald green fog, 30 feet high, rolling across no man's land. It doesn't just look like death, it sounds like it. It hisses. It kills the grass as it touches it. The leaves on the trees turn yellow and shrivel in seconds. Birds fall out of the sky mid-flight, their lungs turn to liquid. And the Russians, they have nothing, no high-tech masks, no filters. They are standing in the trenches watching their own execution roll toward them at 10 miles per hour. They do the only thing they can. They soak dirty rags in water or their own urine, and they tie them over their mouths. They lay down in the mud and they wait to die. When chlorine gas hits moisture, it creates hydrochloric acid. It hits your eyes, you're blind. It hits your throat, it's like swallowing molten glass. It hits your lungs, and the very tissue that allows you to breathe begins to dissolve. The Russian soldiers are standing there, leaning on their rifles, literally melting from the inside out. They are coughing up blood. They are coughing up pieces of their own lungs. The German commanders watch through binoculars. They see the green clouds swallow the fortress and they wait. 10 minutes. 20. They assume every soul inside is now a corpse. They order 7,000 elite infantrymen to fix bayonets and stroll into the fortress to collect the keys. They aren't even running. They're walking. It's a victory lap through a graveyard. The Germans reach the first line of the Russian trenches. They look down, expecting to see bodies. Instead, the bodies move. Out of the green haze, a handful of men, barely 60 of them, stumble to their feet, their faces wrapped in blood-soaked bandages. Their skin is peeling off in gray flakes. They are blind, staggering, and hacking up black gore with every step. They don't have enough breath left to scream. They just make a wet, gurgling rattle in their throats as they level their bayonets. Led by Sub-Lieutenant Kotlinski, these dead men don't retreat. They charge. They run headlong into 7,000 fresh, healthy German soldiers. I want you to put yourself in the boots of a German soldier. You were told everyone was dead. And now, out of a poison cloud, 60 literal zombies are staggering towards you, covered in their own internal organs, refusing to die. The Germans don't just stop, they break. 7,000 men turn and run in a blind, screaming panic. They are so terrified of these undead Russians that they trip over each other. They fall onto their own barbed wire. They trample their own officers. The Russian artillery, seeing the chaos through the fog, opens fire. It's a massacre, not of the dying, but of the terrified. By the time the sun set, the Germans were gone. The fortress was still Russian. Kotlinski, the man who led the charge, died that night. He had used his final heartbeats to do the impossible. The dead men of Oswald didn't survive the war, but they survived the day. They proved that even when the air itself is trying to kill you, the human spirit can still find the strength to fix a bayonet.